Good afternoon. Skip, skip, twirl, twirl, tra la 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 la. My feet are firm on the ground. The earth is firm. Patches of green, carpet soft, as I feel the blades of grass through my toes. And I'm a bit nervous right now. Skip, skip, twirl, twirl, tra la 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 la. I hear in the distance chop, chop, and I see the lazy smoke curling into the skies. And I think to myself, there must be mosquitoes out today, as Dad has lit a small fire. I run to rescue my young brother as he stumbles over some amount of coconut husks. And as my mom leads the way, the delicious aroma of fresh boiled fish and uto wafts my way. We can't see him, but we can hear him, singing and laughing. And as we catch a glimpse of him, we see him amongst mountains of coconuts. He breaks into a bright smile as he sees our entourage, or maybe it's because of his lunch that we bear. Who am I? Where am I? I am the 6-year-old eldest daughter of a copra planter. Somewhere in a copra patch, in Undu Point, Vanua Levu. I am encased in nature's beauty and bounty, and I am surrounded by the people I love. Life then consisted of my dad, a copra planter and fisherman, like his dad before him, and my mom, then minding the 5 children. And she later went on to have 3 more. God bless her. The simplicity of our life, was so basic, so bare, but it was especially quintessential to who I am today. As we reached school age, we are moved to town, to Lambasa, where my mother finds an employment as a stenographer, and Dad continues to live off the land and operate his newly earned boat, where he transports copra along the Undu Peninsula and does fishing for a living. Many of our school holidays were spent as crew on that boat, as we saw my dad work so hard, struggle to put food on our table, paying the bills and the rent as we were now living in town, and of course, providing for the new baby's supplies. We were excited when there was a good catch, and we eagerly helped him clean and ice the fish, the mullet that had to be salted and dried. And we also suffered with him when there was a low catch, and we sailed through that storm. We were always by his side at the market trying to help him sell the fish too. My mother quietly goes about her day doing her work. She doesn't say much, but she's always deep in thought. And I often wondered, maybe she's worrying about her husband, who's now almost 2 weeks out at sea. Or maybe she's hoping that he's got a good catch to come and pay the now overdue rent and the long overdue school fees. Or maybe she was just missing him. She is gentle, but she is strong. She is quiet, but her action speaks louder than words. She is Dad's quiet strength, always beside him, never behind him, always encouraging him and uplifting him. They've been through many hurdles in their life, but I've seen they always support each other, just as they do today. We lacked the luxuries and material things then, but we were rich in love and kindness. There was an abundance of love, laughter, fun, and joy. Most of our clothing, our shoes, our school bags were all hand-me-downs from family and friends here and abroad. And I guess this is probably why I've become quite an expert in recycled goods. The other morning, as I sat having my cup of tea, I heard a track from Tina Charles. It caught me in mid-sip as it took me back to my adolescent years. Life was so different then. As the eldest of now 8 children, I learned to lead from a very young age. I had to delegate the household chores, organize the children with their schoolwork, have all the uniforms and bags ready for the next day. And I had to supply I was there, a lot of support, care, love, and as my siblings would say, a lot of discipline too. In the absence of my parents who were always busy working, trying to provide for us. I look over my one shoulder, I see my paternal grandmother, Vera Chute. She was widowed before I was born. I tried to visualize her in her most desperate days. Her husband taken away too soon. She was only 35 years old. In her sorrow and her pain, she vowed that she would provide them a good education and give their 7 children a good education and a better life. Her loss was incomprehensible, but the determination and the willpower to succeed was far greater. So she moved her family to Lambasa, met a kind businesswoman who provided her with a house, paid school fees, groceries, and even took in 2 of her children to stay with 2 of the children to stay with her at her hotel. She sought the help of the community, of the church, and my Nan was turned away from many jobs as she had no experience. Finally, she found a job as a seamstress at the Lambasa hospital, where she worked tirelessly and loyally until she retired. She gave back to the community, to the church, and she established herself as one of the popular citizens of Lambasa. That kind-hearted businesswoman, I am forever grateful to her for that one opportunity she gave my Nan, led to many more for her and her children. And I'm honored and I'm proud to bear her name, Vera. My Nan is now 93 years old, and her mind is still as sharp as a tack. I look over my other shoulder, and I see my maternal grandmother, also widowed before I was born. She is toiling in her cane fields. My Vunimoli Nana was the hardest working woman I have ever known. She owned cane fields, she owned rice paddies, she had vegetable farms, apart from her subsistence farming. My siblings and I spent most of our weekends on her farm just out of Lambasa. And she taught us how to sow seedlings, water sprouts, fertilize sprouts, water the crop beds, clear weeds, harvest the cane, harvest the vegetables. And that was apart from tethering the cattle, the goats, and our only pet horse, Tui. And she taught us that the land will give back to you. What you reap is exactly what you will sow. When the weekend was over, we'd be eagerly awaiting our wages. Depending on our age and your input, you either got 40 cents or 60 cents, and that was to be deposited in the school run B&Z passbooks. And these were religiously checked on the following weekend when we went back, that an audit, so to speak. Seasonal crops. On Sundays, we'd make our way back to town, and as we rode along on that Sunday afternoon bus, we'd be oblivious to the red Thalassinga soil under our fingernails, toenails, and stuck in the cracks of our feet. Seasonal crops were sold at the Lambasa market, and my grandmother would strategically place 4 of us siblings in different parts of the market with your quota of vegetables, some loose change, and she would just scuttle around during the day checking on your progress. I was probably 13 or 14 at the time, and I was so embarrassed to be selling vegetables. As I saw my friends or my schoolmates approaching, I would probably, in the language of today's children, say, OMG, zut! I would duck under that table and hide until they passed. I soon realized after several growlings and that my commission was being cut back because I wasn't meeting my quota. I think because half of the day I was underneath the table. My cup of tea has now gone cold, and Tina Charles stopped singing some time ago as I wipe away a reminiscent tear. Now, why have I told you their stories? They have played a pivotal and inspirational role in my nurturing and development. For you see, I did not realize then, in the bigger picture, they molded and taught me basic entrepreneurial skills. They taught me that success cannot be bought. It comes from hard, honest, good work. That it comes from, and that you must work with determination, dedication. You must learn to overcome your challenges. You must learn to be resilient in order to succeed. They have been my role models, and they still are my support team today. Fast forward 1990. My dad is now working for Fiji Gas Company in Lambasa, and he had the blessing of meeting George Doonan, an Australian-Irish businessman, and he asked them to go into business. After discussions and a handshake over a gentleman's agreement, Value City was born. My dad had that vision. He took the bold step. He was determined, and he and my mom worked tirelessly, dedicated work for that year that they started this business. I joined the business a year later. I left my secure job at Westpac, and I joined the business a year later as the general manager when the business expanded to Vanua Levu. Together with 4 siblings and some of our spouses, we grew the business under my parents' leadership. Fast forward to 2005, my parents go into retirement and they hand me the reins of managing director. Then the coup of 2006 happens. There's strife, disarray, political instability, economic instability. Why did this have to happen on my watch, I think? And then over the next 2 years, we downsized from 12 branches to 4. Major redundancies. Harsh decisions were made. Harsh, considering that many of them were sole breadwinners. But we gave them the promise that if things improved, they would get their jobs back. I had to renegotiate terms with our suppliers, with the shippers, with our bankers, with everyone that mattered in the business. I had to renegotiate everything. The landlords. I had to liquidate assets in order to help with our cash flow. We worked extremely hard. Not only did we have to work extremely hard, we had to work mighty smart. Today, we have a staff roll of almost 200. We have 17 branches across Fiji, and we franchise to 4 countries in the region. How would you define success and happiness? Well, I guess we will all differ in our definitions. But I do believe that with success comes happiness, but this cannot be measured by some financial report or some figures. Seeing my team work with a combination of charisma, dedication, honesty, that makes me happy. Happiness for me is seeing the potential in a young, single, unqualified girl seeking employment, or the older woman who has been a stay-at-home mother, and now that the nest is empty, she's stepping out of her comfort zone. She's taking the bold step to join the workforce. We train them, and they excel, and they've become one of our high achievers. Having seen that potential and giving them that opportunity, that makes me happy. 70% of our workforce are women from all different backgrounds. And empowering women to gain financial independence, that makes me happy. I have learned that we must always give credit where credit is due. And at our annual awards nights, seeing the happiness and the appreciation on the faces of the recipients, that makes me happy. Receiving good accolades and compliments from our satisfied customers makes me happy, and also receiving complaints makes me happy, because in improving on these, we're learning and growing. I am happy when I spend time with my parents and my siblings, and now our large extended family. My parents have 33 grandchildren now, and 3 great-grandchildren. And we reminisce about the good old days. We even take back to where Mom and Dad had us ballroom dancing lessons because Dad could not tolerate disco. He said it looked like 2 wild roosters ready to battle. I am happiest when I'm smothered with unconditional love from my 2 children and my grandson. He is the promise that life goes on and a new generation is born. Today, that 6-year-old girl has skipped a long way from that copra patch She believes that success and happiness coexist with thankfulness and gratitude. I'm always thankful to my awesome God for His providence and His love. And today, I wake up grateful that for what I have and for where I am, and that I have another opportunity to do better or to do more than I did yesterday. I've shared my story with you today, and the life lessons that I have learned is that when you set goals, focus on achieving them. Work with a passion and expect no other result but success. Maybe you will go through a hard time, not only in your business, but in your life. Don't give up. Always know that behind those clouds, there is the sun. Do not give up. You may be wondering that what's going to happen to this new venture I'm trying to set up. Is it going to succeed or not? Don't wonder. Don't doubt yourself. Think positively. Set the goals for yourself and work towards those. And be proud of who you are and let your heart dance to the rhythm of life. Naka.